Hey everybody, Shane here, daily-astrocat.com, and today is Sunday. It is the 15th of March, so let's go. It's the Ides of March, right? Oh boy, Caesar better watch out. So anyway, we got our moon in Aquarius all day long. There are surprises that keep on occurring during this Pisces season. Kind of like that Ides of March thing, right? Now, like anything else during this Mercury retrograde, we will learn how to process these things and more. It's a learning experience, right? We're going through it. Now, the only thing that we're consistently sure of is change. And change remains constant, especially through our astrology, right? It's how we react to this fact that will determine our condition and direction as we wind down. What are we winding down to? Well, we're winding down to that new moon that's going to be occurring on Tuesday in Pisces. So that new moon in Pisces is going to be a great starting point for us. And it's actually, it's starting to look like we've got some stuff going on. So let's get into the forecast today, and we'll talk more about that, because what I usually do is I usually get way ahead of myself. And then I get to the point where I said something later on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I already discussed that. So Mercury meets up with Mars today, and your patience and empathy are going to go quite far. How far? Depends on how far you're willing to take them, right? Actions up until this point have been flagging. But now, this is actually the time that we're going to start setting the pace. And today's keyword is training. No, I mentioned that because it was kind of curious. I was going on an errand today and had to stop pretty much in the middle of the road because people were crossing the road because they're already training for the Boston Marathon coming up in April. So that's very interesting. So we live right along the marathon route here. So it makes it it cuts the town in half basically for a day, and you got to go way out of the way to get around it. So you're better off just to plan on either getting out before they shut the road down, or after. So at any rate, and forget going to Boston. All right, you don't want to go there until later on. Used to work in downtown Boston. That was quite interesting. I've been all along the marathon route there. So at any rate, let's talk about the color today. The color is mysterious. What is mysterious, Shane? Well, it's a blue that's kind of on the verge of indigo. It's it's colors that they give things and design kits and stuff like that. And this one happens to be mysterious. It looks rather purple, but it's more on the darker indigo side. So I feel like I've been given a mission by this Pisces season, and it's a very imposing task. Now, okay, I have yet to decide whether or not to accept this challenge. Now, this is for me personally. I always like to ask about what is it that you think that your lesson is going to be for this Pisces season. And if you know what it is, or if you have a feeling, put it in the comments below. We'll talk about it. I'll comment back to you, okay? I haven't been good at calling out the comments of the last couple of days. Rebecca, you did send me one. Evan, you always send me one. So that's nice. I like responding to those, and I like responding to the ones that that are surprises, like Baby G. That was an interesting one too. Happens to live in New England. So we did manage. Okay, so we did take a couple of items that we needed to get rid of. Right, that whole unloading, unburdening the eclipse lessons, because that's really what we're kind of reliving and moving towards every single lunation now as we're going through the moons, because that one that was, say, like the solar eclipse in Aquarius, stays with us. And so we wanted to make sure that we cleared some stuff up so that we could bring that innovation and our uniqueness forward. It was kind of... I had an instance today where I was trying to remember something, and the person who I was talking to was, a fairly important person, and I just couldn't remember it. And I was just like, it's because you're standing here, right? I can't. And eventually I was able to put my finger on it, and I was like, that's what it is. But you know what that feeling is like, right? You're just standing in front of somebody, and it's like, where'd my words go? Where did they go? Well, I'll tell you where they went. Mercury retrograde, Mercury in Pisces. Not good for words, good for the intuition, good for the intentions, good for reading what's into the situation. The words, they're going to fail. And we'll have a chance to go back and recapture those words and have them make more sense to us as we move forward. But that kind of thinking, that kind of that logic, that kind of like that linear logic wasn't there. And so the person responded by giving me a nonlinear answer, and then putting me on a nonlinear task, contacting various people that were not connected with my primary function, but are ancillary to the function, and it casts a broader net. Now, if that makes sense, that's good. Because honestly, that's what you need to be thinking of. You need to be thinking in those terms. How can you make your net bigger? How can you expand outside of what it is that you see in front of you and go into different directions? Now, I have not. Now, I've been patiently pursuing my 3D tasks, and that's what that is all about. That is all about 3D. That has nothing to do with what I do here or what I write or anything like that. Or even it does have something to do with the elevation, the vibration. We're keeping that vibration up. However, that was 3D. We're working both tracks together, right? So, and look, Mars and Mercury being conjunct, that's kind of a creative combo, okay? Now, what we did do today, before I went out on my 3D stuff, was we did some of the 5D stuff, making room at the house for things, because we actually went on Carrie went on several dump runs. I helped her with one, and I helped her load another one, but I had to go off to the 3D world, and she was able to actually go to the transfer station, or dump, whatever you prefer to call it. We call it, we refer to it as the dump, but it's no longer a dump. They have a bag, a composting area for leaves and branches and stuff like that, and then they have the transfer station where they're basically loading the trash in the trucks and breaking all the recycling down and white metal goods and everything like that. So I don't know what you call it around where you are at, but throw it in the comments. That'd be fun too, right? Now, look, the first time Mercury met Mars was back in January, and that was a whole winter ago. Feels like it anyway. Music is definitely becoming more important in my life once again. Now, what about yours? What is it that's starting to come to the fore just in the last couple of days, too? I mean, really just focus on that. I mean, I'm use music a lot of the time, but there was some things that happened today that was very interesting. It's just making it more and more obvious, and things that have been happening probably up to the last week that's been making me think musically anyway, too. So the moon is sextile Venus, and it's not seeing the effect that Jupiter could possibly be having. What does that mean? Moon sextile Venus, 60 degrees, not seeing the effects that Jupiter could have. That is a quincunx. That is the inconjunct. That is the 150 degrees of, hey, what are you doing over there? You don't know, right? Now, you can't really see this from where we're currently at right now. And you can't, because it's there, but it's almost behind your peripheral vision, but you still know it's there. The approaching new moon in Pisces is going to highlight Jupiter's contributions on Tuesday. So all of that stuff, like, say, the dump runs and everything like that, the changing that up, yes, that's some of that. That's definitely part of it, but there's other parts of it that are going to strengthen what it is that we do, strengthen our income, and make us more secure, and make us more assured in our housing situations. So please remember that, think about this. The approaching new moon in Pisces, that highlights that. Venus and Aries sextile that moon, the moon in Aquarius. Yeah, we're feeling using some of the innovation and stuff like that. Venus in Aries is sexy, and she knows it. Please remember that Venus is about other pleasures outside of relationships as well. And we can use her magnetic powers of attraction and incorporate them into our own offerings. She's very, very potent in Aries. She doesn't like being there, but that attraction, particularly with Mars being in Pisces now, Venus loves being in Pisces. So that's going to be that's an interesting thing to watch, and just keep notes on. Give me some comments. Pay attention to your side hustles tonight, and don't lose any progress you may have had. All right. I'm still reluctant to go live on TikTok and just live in general, only because I want to be able to, the way I record. I'm not sure if I want to do it from the computer, if I want to just do it from the phone. I'm not quite sure. So if you got any suggestions, throw it down below. I think just doing it would do it. Look, state intentions and please follow through on them, whatever it is you're doing. And remember, even if it gets messy, mud will wash out of clothes. So our event is in 1908, the Rhapsody Espagnole, which is the first performance of Maurice Ravel's orchestral Rhapsody by the same name, debuts in Paris. And our birth is on this date in 1940, Phil Lesh. He's born, last name Chapman. He's a bassist from the Grateful Dead. With the loss of Bob Weir this year, actually, Phil Lesh died in 2024. He was born in Berkeley, California, and that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate and love every single one of you. The keyword is training, and the color is mysterious. It's that shade of indigo that's verging on purple. Today is the 6th. Happy astrocatting.